Hi guys, welcome back to Catch and Cook. Today's going to be a little different. It's more like hunt and cook, sort of. I'm making Navajo tacos with buffalo meat. You can actually make it with venison, and I know that hunting season is just around the corner, so we're going to go ahead and throw in a bonus episode and show you how to make these Navajo tacos. They use a Navajo fry bread instead of the traditional soft tortilla shells that you see with Mexican style tacos. The bread is really easy to make, so we're going to go ahead and put that together and show you what that looks like in just a few, so stay tuned. The Navajo fry bread recipe that I'm using comes from this cookbook, Enduring Harvests. As you can see, the original recipe calls for 3 cups of sifted unbleached flour, a half a cup of dry powdered milk, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 cups of warm water and milk, and you'll need at least 2 quarts of oil for deep frying the bread. Personally, I'm going to go ahead and use a mixture of all-purpose and bread flour today instead of the unbleached, because I don't have unbleached in the house and I don't feel like running off to the grocery store just for a bag of flour. It is okay to substitute the different flours out from time to time, with this recipe at least. And really the only difference you may notice is in the texture. It might be a little less fluffy with this mixture than with the unbleached flour. Some people don't notice much of a difference. I'm one of them, and then there's other people that swear it has to be made with certain kinds of flour. So feel free to experiment and use whichever flour makes you happy. For the taco topping, I'm also going to be using a variation of the Navajo green chili stew recipe. As you can see, it calls for ground beef or lamb and some chili peppers. I'm going to go ahead and substitute the ground meat with buffalo and switch out the chili peppers and play around with some of the seasonings. So give you an idea of what the base recipe looks like. Alright, I went ahead and mixed all the ingredients to make the fry dough, and now I'm going to knead it just a little bit and get it into the right shape, which is just like a little round dough bubble, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to go ahead and brush it with some oil and get some oil out. And afterwards, we're going to go ahead and let it sit for about 2 hours or so. I'm not real precise with this stuff. I know some people like to be precise, but... Alright, I'm going to go off recipe just a bit and add some different ingredients for my Navajo tacos today, because I've never actually been somebody that likes to color within the lines. Every recipe that I get, I usually tweak a little bit to make it my own, and today is going to be no different. So I'm adding some onions and mushrooms to my chili and some fresh herbs. We've got oregano and cilantro mixed in there and some basil. I'm going to go ahead and get that all prepared and ready, and then start working on putting the filling together, and then the filling can sit and rest. The longer it sits in the refrigerator, the better actually it is. It lets those chili flavors permeate throughout the meat and will make it taste really good. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and I'll be back in just a bit. Alright, I've gone ahead and finished chopping up the herbs and the onions and the mushrooms. And as you can see, the ground buffalo is very lean, so is venison. So I want to add just a little bit of fat to the chili. That said, I'm going to cut up a little bit of this sliced bacon here into small chunks and throw that in a saute pan with my onions to get the chili started. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get the pan hot. I've stuck some oil in there. And we'll add the bacon to the pan. Let that cook up a little bit before we add in the onions. Now that the pan is hot and the bacon is starting to cook, we're going to go ahead and add in the onions and let them get started. Okay, next up we're going to go ahead and put in the mushrooms. Mix that in there with our onions and bacon. That's what it looks like for now. And we are also going to add the buffalo meat. And some of the roasted garlic that I made up the other day. It's very soft, so we're just going to throw a couple cloves in there. And let that cook down a little bit before we add the liquid ingredients. Okay, now that the mushrooms are in there and the buffalo meat has browned, we're going to go ahead and start adding in our liquid ingredients. I've got the green chilies diced. I'm cheating and using the canned stuff. Go ahead and put that in there. And we also have stewed tomatoes. Put that in there. Using a can of beef broth. Goes in there. Can of pinto beans, undrained. Give that a quick stir. And last but not least, our seasonings. It's all chili seasonings, just basic chili seasonings, nothing's fancy. I'm going to stir that together, let it come to a boil, and then turn it down and let it simmer for half an hour, and it'll thicken. The starch from the pinto beans will help it thicken up so that it'll be more like taco meat or chili than it is now. Now it kind of looks like soup, but it won't stay that way. And once it's simmered for a little while, then we'll add in the fresh herbs because they're kind of delicate, so we don't want to overcook them. Alright guys, this is what it looks like with the herbs in it. We're going to go ahead and let it continue simmering, and we won't make the fry bread until the very last minute because it's best to serve it warm. Alright, I've got the toppings ready for the Navajo tacos. We're going to be using a mixture of spring greens and basil, oregano, and cilantro, fresh of course. And we also have a mixture of cheese. It's cheddar, Monterey Jack, and Parmesan. The basket that you see there, that's actually for our fry bread when it's ready. And we'll be serving the white Zinfandel with our dinner for this evening. Alright guys, Michael's almost home, so we're going to go ahead and get the rest of the prep work done. We're going to separate the dough into egg-sized balls, like that, and then we're going to flatten each of the balls out and use it to make the Navajo fry bread for our tacos. Basically, going to flatten them out like this. I do it by hand. You could use a rolling pin if you want. Mainly want it thin in the middle, and it can be thick on the sides, sort of like a pizza. That's what it looks like. And then you're going to deep fry it on each side for about 2 to 3 minutes. Take it out and top it with the greens first, then the taco mixture, and cheese, just like you would any other taco. And we'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. Alright, off camera I went ahead and rolled out the dough because I wasn't quite happy with how they came out when I shaped them by hand. And I've separated them on this plate with some saran wrap. But that is what it looks like. And that way, when Michael comes home, I can go ahead and throw them in the hot oil quickly and get dinner on the table.